Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. It is Tuesday, July 5th, 2016, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, Hillary Clinton is above the law, and the fix is in. She's been cleared by the FBI just days after Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch's secret meeting on a private plane.
I'm going to make him an offer again.
Hillary Clinton is clearly tainted goods. It's obvious she lied, that she had classified emails that were transmitted over her server that she knew about and should have known about, but yet she's not going to be prosecuted.
Then, radio talk show host Lionel says the FBI is wrong not to prosecute crooked Hillary.
So what Loretta Lynch should have said was, guess what, Bill? You really screwed up, because I was your only hope.
All that plus much more up next on the INFOWARS.
Well, while we were all busy this weekend celebrating our Independence Day, Hillary Clinton was, of course, meeting with the FBI, celebrating her independence. That's right. She's free. She won't be rounded up, put in handcuffs, and carted off to jail, where we all think she needs to be. Of course, Americans are reacting with fury. If Hillary doesn't follow the law, why should I? Joining me in studio is David Knight. Now, David, I was just gobsmacked by the press briefing today with the FBI director saying that Clinton and her aides were just extremely careless. Yeah, they couldn't care less.
Yeah. Well, she said all along that these were documents that were not classified when she got them. He directly contradicted her. So even though at the beginning I thought that he wasn't going to indict her, when he said that, I thought, wow, they're going to go for an indictment. And yet, amazingly, after he said that, then he went on and said, no, there's nothing to see, move along here. But don't you try this at home, because we'll send you to jail. Look, there are technical issues here. This server just didn't happen to put itself together. And there's also legal, ethical issues, corruption issues. This is a replay of what we saw with the Chinese. We've seen this developed. And as Alex Jones has pointed out, this could very well have just been a drop box to give her plausible deniability to pass secrets on to the Chinese.
And of course, David, one of the most interesting things that the FBI director said was that no reasonable prosecutor would take this case. We are flabbergasted by that, because it seems as they've taken this particular case before in the past. So we decided to bring on a reasonable prosecutor, find out, what he thinks. Welcome to the show, Lionel, of course, Emmy award-winning television news decoder and legal analyst, as well as a licensed trial lawyer and former prosecutor. What do you think about this?
Well, first of all, a couple of things here. Let me give you the official academic answer, and then we'll get to the bottom line. Number one, the prosecution has a duty to bring justice. The prosecutor and the FBI is the police department version of the prosecution. Think about it this way. The cops go out, they make the arrest, they do the investigation, then they turn that case over to the DA. The DA charges somebody with burglary or murder or whatever it is. So the cops do the initial investigation. The cops don't tell the prosecutor or the state attorney or the district attorney what to do. The cops will make a recommendation. The cops will tell the DA, look, this is a bad case, a lousy case. Here's our input. But the cops never announce, and there's no reason why this should be charged, because no reasonable prosecutor, a DA would say, whoa, excuse me, Chief Friendly. Excuse me, Chief of Police, McAdoo, Knight. Who are you to tell me? No. So that right off the bat was very interesting.
Yeah.
So, but let me go back to what I was saying, though, that prosecution, FBI, their job is just not to get convictions, not to charge people. So that's okay. The problem with this is that there were myriad reasons why they could have charged Hillary Clinton with a misdemeanor, something other than nothing to see here, move along. Keep in mind, guys, this is in view of, or the tail end of these weird optics this week with the Attorney General and this tarmac confab with the husband of the alleged target, who himself could have been a witness, co-defendant, co-conspirator.
Yeah, let me speak to that. Let's do that, Lionel, because, you know, she offered as an excuse saying, hey, we just got together and talked about our close personal relationship. Shouldn't the close personal relationship be the reason in the first place that she would recuse herself even before this secret meeting at the tarmac? And the fact is that if you look at rules, isn't it true that if you've got a prosecutor and a judge, they look at why they should recuse themselves, is if you've got a personal relationship, a close work relationship, a political relationship, and it's check, check, check. All three of those boxes are checked for her. She doesn't do that, and then she openly meets with him.
There is no mandatory rule for a prosecutor to recuse herself in this particular case, just like there's no mandatory reason why a judge should recuse. But my dear learned friends, you're at the highest level of scrutiny and integrity. And there are also Department of Justice rules. So let's not get too bogged down. You have the Loretta Lynch issue here, which stunk to high heaven.
Right.
Because what she should have done is, imagine this, Loretta Lynch says, okay, Bill, now you did it. I don't know what you slipped in my drink or what lapse of judgment I just had, but I just went in, first of all, and it looks, the optics, again, I keep saying optics, of going into this private jet on the tarmac. Well, you know, the hoi polloi like you and me, we're doing the economy class in JetBlue, and they're on the tarmacs of private jets. It looks bad. That's number one. So what Loretta Lynch should have said was, guess what, Bill? You really screwed up because I was your only hope. Now I've got to recuse myself because for the longest time, they've been asking me to step down, that they demanded a special prosecutor. And I said, no, I can maintain my detached professionalism, but now I can't. So guess who you've got now? Torquemada. You've got the worst pit bull prosecutor because of this stupidity on your part and my part. Okay, that's the Lynch thing. Now, what Comey did today was, and I'm just guessing, let's say I'm Aaron Sorkin and I'm doing a screenplay and I'm just being fanciful. Imagine this conversation. Well, Loretta, you screwed up this way. Now I've got to go out and punt it for you. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to fall on the sword. I'm going to basically turn nothing over to you. I'm going to go out, scold Hillary. Part A of my announcement is going to be this indictment of how you have no judgment, you're sloppy, and you want to be the president? You want to handle the 3 o'clock in the morning call? So I'm going to go out in part A of my announcement. I'm going to just say you're sloppy and you're terrible and you disregard rules and security and the government. Then I'm going to do a 180 and say, however, despite the foregoing, no reasonable prosecutor would do this. Deutsch notwithstanding, Petraeus notwithstanding, all of the whistleblowers who have been packed away and they're cracking rocks upstate for a host of things. But I'm going to say no reasonable prosecutor. So, Loretta, I'm going to get you off the hook by basically turning over nothing to you. So Loretta can say, well, you heard it from the FBI themselves. So Loretta is saved. Comey is saved. And also, keep in mind this. And again, remember, my dear friends, as learned as we are, we're still civilians in this Byzantine world of Game of Thrones prosecution and that sort of thing. You don't get to be the FBI director by being a rogue. You don't get to be a guy who is looking down the road for, things like retirement, Wall Street gigs, board of directors of corporation. You don't. You know, as you look to the sunset of your career and really the big time and the big bucks, and you're a company guy, you don't get to be you don't become the FBI director by being a rogue. And
I think that's what she meant. I think that's what he meant by a reasonable prosecutor, a corporate guy who's looking out for his career. Hey, we want to be reasonable about that. Let's talk about some of the specifics, Lionel. He said, as he would laid this out, and at first I told my wife, I said, look, you look at everything that's happened this last week, and he's holding this now the day after the 4th of July, as they unrolled all this stuff over the holiday weekend. I said, they're letting her walk for sure. But then he starts laying out the criminal case. And he comes in and he says, hey, was there classified information? And then later on he says, yes, there was classified classified information. Was it improperly stored and transmitted? Yes, he says. But then he leaves himself and a subjective out. He says, was it intentional? Was it grossly negligent? And then when he goes on, he says, well, we didn't find it was intentional, even though she had changed the classified headings on some of these issues so that it could get transmitted into her own personal system.
Right.
He goes on to say later on, there's evidence that they were extremely careless. Why is that not grossly negligent when you're talking about this level of security?
Look, the particular statutes that we're talking about, there was a FOIA statute, there's Title 18 of USC, United States Code. There's a host of statutes and language that talk about criminal intent, mens rea. Do you have the criminal intent to do something, gross negligence? A lot of times, some of the most serious offenses that we can commit do not really involve any kind of, scienter, yes, meaning knowingly doing something, but this deliberate intent to defraud, to upend justice. No, sometimes it can be a very simple thing. For example, if you don't file taxes, if you don't pay the government, you can argue all day long as I didn't deliberately do this, I didn't intentionally harm the government. They don't care about that. You think Deutsch, the CIA director, do you think Petraeus knowingly, deliberately went to harm this government? No, that's not the point. They don't write statutes that give you a way out. Look, let me just leave you, my dear friends, with this. Let's just some kernel, some nugget of perhaps hope for justice. Not conviction, not indictment. I'm not out to see Hillary Clinton indicted or incarcerated. That's not what I want. Justice. I want equal treatment under the law.
Right.
Yeah.
But imagine this. Imagine Comey said, well, Hillary, if you go back and listen to what I said, I told the people about my investigation of you and your behavior involving the server. What I didn't mention was this other particular statute, and that is lying to the FBI.
Right.
Because as you recall, Martha Stewart was sent to the Pokey, the Gray Bar Inn, the Hoosgow, not because of insider trading, but because she lied to the FBI. So if you listen carefully, Hillary, what I said was that as far as you violating these server and secure transmission statutes, that's one thing. However, after the fact, we went through all of the testimony, and how many times she's met or talked to the government, I don't know. But whenever you speak to the FBI, and how Hillary Clinton never took the fifth, how she actually spoke, allegedly for 3.5 hours, you are opening yourself up. And by the way, the Fifth Amendment is not a loophole of the guilty. It's a constitutional right that you have the ability as a citizen to take. The Second Amendment is just as good as the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said for that. Don't hold your breath, but lying to the government and perjury and giving inconsistent statements under oath, not necessarily to a grand jury itself, but to the FBI, that's the derivative angle in addition to the substantive charges.
And Hillary Clinton said that this last week. She said, look, I exposed myself to a very serious crime. Many times they don't charge you with what the initial investigation is about, but they will charge you for inaccurate statements saying that you're lying to the FBI. Lionel, to my cynical mind, I believe that is why Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton met. I believe that it was a briefing to tell him precisely where they were going with this, what they knew, to make sure that she was going to have a prepared statement. This is a woman who's not had a press conference for about 215 days, and she has everything prepared and laid out for her. I think that was the point of that meeting, quite frankly, in my cynical point of view.
I agree.
Well, they say just because you're paranoid doesn't mean no one's after you, and just because you're cynical doesn't mean you're wrong. So, my friends, as we will find out, this remains to be seen, and please accept my offer to return to these hallowed portals again to discuss and explicate this most fascinating subject.
Yes.
Lionel, we've only got a couple of minutes left. And I just want to get a quick comment from you about his essentially don't try this at home.
Right.
When he finished up with this, he said, to be clear, this isn't to suggest that in similar circumstances, a person who's not running for president, who's not Hillary Clinton, engaged in this activity would face no consequences. To the contrary, those individuals are often subject to security or administrative sanctions. That's not to say that's not what we're deciding now. This is simply a special treatment for Hillary Clinton. That's what he's saying.
It only applies to her.
Yeah, your comment.
Let's imagine right now as we speak, John Kerry decides to go to his basement or his bathroom or hall, closet, put in his own server, and do exactly what Hillary Clinton did. Can he expect the same treatment? No. Is that fair? No. Is that reality? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, what do we think about the fact that they're trying to tell us that Hillary Clinton was just that ignorant that she did this, and yet we're supposed to put her in the most powerful position?
Right. Right. Listen.
Is she a criminal or an idiot?
Remember when